Welcome to the Dark Ozarks. We are diving into lore of Old Christmas and winter in the Ozarks, and there's a lot more to cover than you may think. We will get back to that in a minute, but first we want to remind you that the Dark Ozarks podcast is now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, or just about any other podcast platform you may use. So what does Old Christmas mean in the Ozarks?
Well, there's a lot to cover that most people do not associate with the holidays, from pyrotechnics and praying cows to burying chicken entrails under the hearth. There is, as traditions often viewed as supernatural or witchcraft during the rest of the year.
And that's before we get to dark stories of winter, including supernatural beings in the woods.
There are a lot of traditions that are mostly forgotten, that our consumer-driven world see as dark, and some that are hard to explain. And of course, it's up to everyone to decide what any of this really means.
We will discuss more of the old Christmas tales in winter in a minute, but first we want to invite everyone to like, follow, etc. Dark Ozarks on Facebook, Instagram, here on YouTube. Plus, we encourage you to follow the podcast. We would like to invite you to become a Dark Ozarks subscriber on Facebook. On the Dark Ozarks Facebook page, click subscribe, have your login information ready, and join Dark Ozarks behind the scenes for only $4.99 per month.
So come with us on investigations, deep dive research, and topics that are too controversial for public view. The next 100 subscribers will be entered in a drawing for a free Dark Ozarks t-shirt and an exclusive signed first-run copy of the book, Dark Ozarks, The Spooklight. Join today to be entered in the drawing.
And why else should you subscribe to the private Dark Ozarks group? Yes, it does have the subscription fee, but you receive exclusive content and behind-the-scenes information that's nowhere else. It also helps us bring more original content to Dark Ozarks, and we appreciate everyone.
And now you can get Dark Ozarks t-shirts for sale at darkozarks.com and on paranormalsciencelab.com.
We encourage everyone to check out Always Buying Books in Joplin, Missouri, in person and online on Facebook and their website, alwaysbuyingbooks.com. For all of your reading needs, including a large section on the paranormal, history, and more, not to mention the building's haunted. Tell Bob and Elise that we sent you.
We also want to thank Beard Engine Brewing Company in Alba, Missouri. Beard Engine Brewing is the only English-style brewery in Missouri and twice named Missouri's best brewery by the Missouri Brewers Association. Great beer and food in a historical building with a noir past. And yes, this building is also haunted as well. Tell Nate and Tiff that we sent you.
So, Old Christmas. Now, a lot of people probably don't really are. A lot of people probably are not familiar with Old Christmas.
Right. So just as a very basic cliff notes, Old Christmas is also Epiphany, which is very familiar with more particularly Catholic nations, Latin America, Spain, Italy, etc. And then also the immigrants from those locations. So Old Christmas and Epiphany. Old Christmas Eve would be January 5th. Old Christmas would be January 6th. And it really comes from a clerical error. No, I'm joking. Depending
on how you look at it.
Yeah, right. Somebody did not get the memo. In, I believe, 1582, Pope, I'm drawing a blank.
Isn't it Leo? Okay. I think.
He was the 13th.
Yeah, I think it's Leo the 13th, I think.
Completely drew a blank on his name. The Pope in 1582.
There we go.
Ultimately, with I'm sure lots and lots of calendar discussion, chose to make a handful of comparatively minor changes. Gregory. It's the Gregorian calendar. Pope Gregory the 13th.
Yes, you're right.
He and a number of small changes to essentially from my understanding, line the calendar up to more accurately reflect the Earth in its cycle. And consequently, days moved around a little bit. And so Christmas moved from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, moved from January 6th to December 25th, where it politely remains to this day. That said, a number of outlying nations, first of all, like more Western Europe, specifically Britain, were slow to adopt that. And they were slow to adopt it beginning in the 1580s into the 1600s, which was a crucial time for many folks in Britain to migrate to North America, not getting the new calendar, in essence. Those folks then, in many cases, particularly our Celtic forebears, took one look at civilization and ran for the hills, like we often do, where they were not exposed to the changes that took place in North America over the next 300 years. Consequently, certain pockets of these settlement areas, including portions of Appalachia and the back hills of the Ozarks, continue to celebrate Old Christmas, in some cases well into the 20th century.
Very true, and actually that mirrors things in the Celtic areas in Great Britain today, that a lot of these traditions are still observed or were up until the last few decades. So we're just a stubborn lot, and
we are. We are. And doing a lot of the research about Old Christmas, and consequently Epiphany as well, has really made me want to start incorporating some of these traditions back into the festivities. I like it because to me it bookends or grounds the holiday and takes a lot of the focus off of just that gift opening frenzy that is typically over by 11:30 a.m. on December 25th.
Yes, it's a step away from the consumer driven portion of the holiday.
It is, and to me it does feel much older. It feels almost mystical, which I like.
Me too.
And I think that even though Old Christmas and Epiphany are not precisely the same, they have their own unique courses in terms of lore. There is some really neat things associated just around January 6th, from things like the Italian witch Befana to the Magi showing up and leaving, in the case of many Latin countries, showing up and leaving candy in the children's shoes.
Yes, so don't step in your shoes without looking.
Well, and just as a little bit of an aside, in terms of Spanish-speaking countries, we in English-speaking countries we know the three kings or the wise men, but I love I believe the proper term is Reyes Magos, or essentially the magic kings, or the magician kings. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I think it speaks to things much older and deeper in association with the season.
I think so. And I think there's a little telltale to that too in some of the traditions, that people might be surprised that at any other time of the year, some of the traditions would probably be viewed as supernatural or witchcraft.
Yes.
And we can get into those a little bit more on our long video, which will be up tomorrow night. But plus also delving into some of just the dark winter lore.
Very dark winter lore. It's a lot of fun, as long as you don't freeze to death.
Hint, hint. So with that in mind, don't forget to check out upcoming events and merchandise at darkozarks.com and paranormalsciencelab.com. And thank you again to Always Buying Books and Beard Engine Brewing Company for helping bring the Dark Ozarks to everyone.
On the next episode, we're going to be discussing the Ozark connections to the dark history of Texas and more. Catch the Dark Ozarks podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and other podcast platforms. We want to thank everyone, and remember,